Hi everybody, my name is Gideon Bushkett Crowcomb. I'm also known as Gideon's Light, and this is a creatively fit coaching workshop. So welcome to No Mud, No Lotus. During this course, we are going to explore at the canvas the mud that is our lives and how that can translate into nourishment and grounding for a beautiful lotus to grow through the murky waters to the point of blossoming into the beautiful sunlight. So this symbol for this course is really powerful, empowering and deep. We will be exploring some of the mud in our lives that may be causing us some stress and might even be robbing us of our power. And in exploring that mud, you will find that there is a way to use that, to transcend it, and then to begin to grow and to bloom as a beautiful lotus flower. So I always think this is a good point to just explain and explore the whole idea of creative coaching and to manage some expectations for this course. Creative coaching really is a means by which we use the canvas as a metaphor for your life. And although the art process is involved and we do paint at the canvas, really we are asking ourselves a lot of personal growth questions during the whole process. So creative coaching is process orientated, whereas traditional art can be end product orientated. And in this process of coaching, we help the person that attends this workshop to overcome limiting beliefs and to become aware of those ideas that we tend to give our power away to, and stop playing victim, stop playing small, but in a non-confrontational manner. So really, creative coaching is a way of using art therapy to explore our inner world. The canvas becomes almost like a mirror for yourself, because during the process you might find that attitudes and limiting beliefs arises, and the whole idea is to become aware of them, and then to, when once you've become aware of them, to do something about it in a positive and constructive way. So this is what we will be exploring at the canvas, and using symbology to allow this information and awareness to come to the surface. So I guess that you've gathered from the title of this workshop that we will be painting a lotus. And this is the lotus that we will be painting. This is the one that I did in my recent Painting in the Park event with my fellow coach and host, Audrey Arnold, and it was just absolutely amazing to see how the people that attended this workshop was able to look at the mud in their lives in a different way, and then how everybody painted this lotus. It's also interesting to note that most of the people attending the workshops has never painted before in their lives, at least not on this scale. And for them to be confronted with this canvas was quite an interesting experience for them. And then at the end of the workshop, to be able to walk away with a painting like this was quite transformative. You can imagine coming into a workshop believing that you can't even draw a stick figure, and then leaving 4 hours later with a painting. It really proves to you that you can begin anything new, you can learn anything new, and you can overcome those limiting beliefs like I cannot even draw a straight line. So really, no previous art experience or skills are required to participate in this online event and workshop. It is a self-directed workshop, so you can do the lessons as you find time in your busy schedule. I do encourage you though to take a photograph of each stage of this process and to share it with me in a comment below each video, so that I can give you feedback and support you during your process. I also invite you to join my Facebook group entitled The Creative Heart, because there we are a community of souls, a tribe for lack of a better word, where you will find all the support and encouragement that you need during your process. So do feel free to share there, be vulnerable there, share your process, and you will find a lot of encouragement comes your way. Great. Are you excited? Are we ready to get started? Get your canvas, get your brushes. I'll meet you at the canvas and then we'll get painting on our lotus. I wanted to spend a little bit of time just to explore all the different layers of the symbol of a lotus flower. Now, as you probably know, the lotus flower is considered a sacred or spiritual flower. This whole plant in many cultures all around the world is revered as a sacred plant, but there's a lot of information in there that I want to maybe expose you to for the very first time. And as you paint your lotus, I want you to think of these different aspects of the grand symbol of the lotus and how it can relate to your life. So there's always a question that you should be asking yourself metaphorically. Where does this element or part of the symbol relate to my life? And how can I become more aware of what lies beneath it? Is there a lesson? Is there a treasure? And how can I look at it differently and then change my approach, change my behavior, change my attitude, or change the belief structure that supports maybe a limiting belief or a bad habit, and so overcome this. So one of the very first things that we want to look at when we paint the lotus is to look at the mud. This is also in the title of this workshop. No mud, no lotus. So the mud could really represent a lot of very interesting things. And I'm going to use the words poop, shit, muck, manure, darkness. All of those things are beautiful keywords that you can use to consider what the mud could represent in your life. So it could also be a challenge or a dark cave. So the seed of the lotus needs to be grounded in this muck or in this mud in order for it to take root and to grow from it. So you can begin to see when we paint the lotus, we will be exploring the mud quite deeply and see how we can use something that you consider the shit of your life or the mud of your life to transcend and grow from it, to use it as nourishment to become stronger. The next element that we are looking at is the water. And the water could really represent the emotional body. The emotions is quite fluid. It is something that changes constantly. And closer to the surface of the mud, the water could be murky and dark. And as the lotus germinates and it starts to push up, there's always a little bit of light that it's growing towards. And as you push through the body of water and you get closer to the surface of the water, the brighter and the clearer the water gets, until the point where the lotus flower is able to break the surface of the water. So the water will also be a great element to explore while you do this beautiful painting and looking at your emotional life and how that is playing a role in your life. The next part of this beautiful symbol that we'll be painting is the surface of the water. This is the point where we reach equilibrium. It is grounded beneath. It is a stability in the body of water, but the lotus is also seated on the surface of the water. So between the sky and the mud, this is the middle point, the equilibrium stage. And this is also where we connect with the ebb and flow of life, and we begin to remember that each day is a new beginning. The lotus seed is also a symbol all on its own, because a seed, as you know, could represent potential. The lotus flower is also one of the only plants that I know of that already carries the seed within its seed pod while it is blooming. For most other flowers, it is a process of flowering, making a fruit, forming the seed in the fruit and then seeding once the fruit has rotten and fallen to the ground. With a lotus flower, however, the seed is ready and available from the minute it flowers. It carries it in its seed pod, so it doesn't need to go through those stages. Another interesting thing about the seed is that it can last for centuries without water. So if it's just lying dormant, there's no water for it to germinate into the mud, that seed can live for centuries, dormant, waiting for the right opportunity, for the right circumstances to present itself, for it to take root and then begin to grow. So you can also see the beautiful symbology just in that aspect of the lotus flower. The next thing that we are focusing on is the sunlight. It's the light shining from above. And the symbology for me in that was that the light is available to all of us and that we grow towards the light. But at the same time, there's also the light and the day aspect. A very interesting fact about the lotus flower is that it closes at night and it submerges itself under the water surface. And in the morning, it rises above the surface water and blooms again. And that is just phenomenal, because for me, that speaks of faith. Faith in yourself, and remembering that each day comes to an end and each morning is a new beginning. The flower is always pristine and clean and beautiful because of this submersion, and it's always just reflecting the light, and that is one of the reasons why it's such a beautiful bloom. So this night and day aspect is also part of the symbology that I want you to explore while painting your lotus flower. So I've set up my canvas and I've whitewashed it so that we have a fresh start for you to paint along as well. So I want you to take out your canvas and get ready to begin to explore this amazing, powerful symbol on your canvas and allow this to begin to speak to you. So there's a very first question that I would like to pose to you as you stare at this blank canvas that can be quite intimidating. So for now, the canvas is a metaphor of your life, and this blank open space really shows you that you have infinite possibilities, but it can be quite intimidating. So I'd like to calm your fears and manage your expectations right now by just reminding you just to stay in the present moment with me. Don't rush ahead and think about how you're going to be painting your lotus flower. I really want you just to be in the process. This process that I'm talking about is going to be divided up into 4 major layers. And these 4 major layers each will represent an aspect or a phase of this symbol, as well as the journey that is your life. So right now, this is an opportunity for you to recognize that you in your life have infinite possibilities available to you. And in exploring this lotus flower, you will discover something about yourself. So like I've said before, we are going to be spending a bit of time exploring the mud in your life. Let that sink in for a moment. And this is the question that we're going to begin this whole process with. And my question to you is, what mud or poop or shit are you currently standing in? What drama is unfolding in your life, or is present in your life, or is stealing all of your energy and attention? What darkness or dark cave are you avoiding in your life? I always say, in the dark caves of our lives, there is hidden the treasure that you seek. So if we can begin to just, in a metaphorical way, look at the challenges, the difficulties, the dramas, or literally the shit that is in our lives. And I know that we all have this kind of presence in our lives with difficulties, challenges, drama, problems. Let's look at that and really give it a bit of our attention and begin to analyze it and see what opportunities lies hidden within that. So I want you just to take a moment and maybe take a piece of chalk and just write this down, this mud, if you could give it a description on your canvas. So for me, it could be things like my self-esteem, self-worth, self-reliance, and just being grounded in the present moment. Because I tend to rush ahead with anxiety. So I know you can't really read that very nicely because it's a very light piece of chalk, but you get the idea. The idea is to just use the chalk, which also represents something that is non-permanent. I want you to write your mud, your shit, your drama down on this white canvas with the chalk, and really just take a moment to just capture it on this canvas. If there's something that happens to you when you really nail it and become present with it in a way like this, there's something therapeutic that begins to happen because you allow your left brain to process and you begin to shift over into your right brain in a playful manner at the canvas. Now, this was interesting for me to note that a lot of participants sometimes write these kind of things small in a little corner of the canvas because they still cannot conceive the idea of working in layers over the canvas. And when you do something like limiting yourself in a small little corner like that, that already presents itself with the question, where in your life do you also play small or compartmentalize it to such a degree that you do not fill the entire canvas that is your life? Some people are so scared to begin this process that they find all kinds of excuses. They get busy with all kinds of other tasks. The light isn't right. I must first declutter the space before I can begin. And in that avoidance technique, I also ask the participants, where else in your life do you use this as a technique or an escape art form to not face what is in your life right now? The mud, the shit, the poop. So really take a minute on a piece of paper and then transfer it to the canvas with a piece of chalk and really name it and write it on the canvas so that we can go from there.